Fragile truce in the Gaza Strip. Israel prepares to reopen Rafah crossing. Hundreds of trucks await entry into the Gaza Strip through Rafah. Reuters. Israel's public broadcaster announced on Wednesday that the country is expected to soon reopen the Rafah crossing, allowing the entry of more than 600 trucks carrying humanitarian aid. The decision is linked to the first phase of the peace agreement signed last Monday, following Hamas's delivery of the remains of 4 more hostages. Meanwhile, Israel has reportedly resumed attacks on the Gaza Strip. 600 humanitarian aid trucks will be directed to the Gaza Strip by the UN, authorized international organizations, the private sector, and donor countries, explained Israel's public radio and television station. This is another step tied to the agreement signed in Sharm el-Sheikh last Monday, which declared a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, the release of all living hostages by Hamas, and the handover of the remains of those who lost their lives. This is one of the key measures requested by the UN, which has declared famine in several parts of the Gaza Strip. Identification of 3 deceased hostages. The reopening of Rafah follows the handover of the remains of 4 Israeli hostages through the Red Cross on Tuesday, after Hamas announced that it would continue to deliver hostages. The remains of Uriel Baruch and Tamir Nimrodi have returned to Israel, according to their families. Both were kidnapped on October 7, 2023, when Hamas killed more than 200 people. Benjamin Netanyahu also confirmed the identification of another hostage, 53-year-old Eitan Levy. After the completion of the identification process by the National Center of Forensic Medicine, in cooperation with the Israel Police and the Chief of the Israel Defense Forces, we are notifying the families of hostages, Uriel Baruch, Tamir Nimrodi, and Eitan Levy, that their identification has been completed, read a statement from the Israeli Prime Minister's office. Reports from the Israeli press also suggest that Israel believes the 4th body handed over by Hamas does not belong to one of the hostages, though no official confirmation has yet been made. Israeli attacks. Despite the ceasefire, Israel has reportedly resumed attacks on the Gaza Strip. The Spanish news agency EFE said it witnessed an attack by Israeli tanks and drones in the Rafah area and the northern Palestinian territory. A refugee tent camp in the Mawasi area was affected. However, there have been no reports of injuries or casualties. This comes after an agreement was signed for a ceasefire and an end to hostilities that have already claimed more than 67,000 Palestinian lives. After international agencies reported that the Rafah crossing could reopen this Wednesday, the Israeli Defense Forces unit responsible for humanitarian assistance stated that no such agreement has yet been reached. Humanitarian aid will not pass through the Rafah crossing. No agreement has been reached at this stage, said a COGAT official, cited by the BBC. The date for reopening the crossing for the movement of people will be announced later, the same source added. The decision not to immediately reopen the Rafah crossing is linked to Israel's complaints that Hamas is delaying the delivery of the remains of at least 21 hostages. Negotiations continue, but Israeli authorities confirmed on Wednesday that one of the bodies handed over by the Palestinian group does not belong to a hostage. This situation has raised doubts in Tel Aviv about Hamas's intentions and commitment to maintaining the ceasefire reached last Monday. The city of Sharm el-Sheikh hosted several world leaders who signed a peace agreement. Under this arrangement, Hamas is to release all living hostages in the first phase, something that has already happened. The process of returning the remains of hostages believed to be dead has now begun. Despite Israel's position, the Palestinian Authority, through a special envoy of President Mahmoud Abbas, has stated that it is prepared to take part in an operation to deliver humanitarian aid from Egypt to Gaza, while questions arise over who will finance the reconstruction of the territory. We are prepared to take part in the operation, and we have informed all parties that we are ready to assist in the Rafah crossing, said Mohammed Shtayyeh. The families of the last living hostages released by Hamas expressed their gratitude for Donald Trump's personal involvement in resolving the Gaza conflict. Israel now awaits the return of all deceased hostages still in the enclave. After resolving the hostage issue, Trump believes he can achieve peace in Ukraine. Last meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump during the UN General Assembly in New York, September 23, 2025. Al Drago, Reuters. The U.S. President and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet in Washington on Friday. A White House official confirmed to Politico that Donald Trump is optimistic about the possibility of peace between Moscow and Kyiv, following the success of the hostage exchange in the Middle East. The president remains optimistic that he can get both sides to stop the senseless killing, a White House official told Politico. President Trump has long expressed his desire to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, just as he freed the hostages and ended the war between Israel and Hamas, he said. Despite Trump's success in the Middle East hostage negotiations, his diplomatic efforts to end the war in Ukraine have been repeatedly ignored by Russia. "I don't know why he keeps this war going. He really needs to end it. He simply doesn't want to stop this war," Trump told reporters Tuesday, referring to Russian President Vladimir Putin. As part of Kiev's efforts to draw the U.S. government's attention away from the Middle East and back to Ukraine, Zelensky will return to the White House this week. During the meeting, the two leaders will discuss Ukraine's request for Tomahawk missiles, additional weapons and air defense systems, energy sector resilience, and greater cooperation in drone production, according to Ukraine's new ambassador to the U.S. Ambassador Olga Stefanishina told Politico that several Ukrainian delegations are working to maximize the impact of Friday's leaders' meeting. "This is a completely new engagement format. Military teams have been working for 2 weeks. The Prime Minister is engaging with financial partners to coordinate efforts, and delegations from the economy and energy sectors are focusing on mitigating the effects of Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, mobilizing U.S. involvement in gas acquisition," she said. Regarding the upcoming meeting with the Ukrainian president, Trump acknowledged Zelensky's interest in Tomahawk missiles and suggested that he could move forward with the supply to Ukraine as a consequence of Putin's refusal to engage in peace talks. However, he warned of the risk of escalating the conflict if Russia perceives the delivery of long-range U.S. weapons as a deeper American involvement in the war. A strong push for global peace. After success in the Middle East negotiations, Ukraine's president wants to capitalize on the Trump administration's momentum for global peace. When peace is achieved in one part of the world, it brings more hope for peace in other regions. The leadership and determination of global actors can certainly work for us too in Ukraine, Zelensky said. During his visit to Washington, Volodymyr Zelensky will also meet with energy companies, military firms, and members of Congress at Trump's invitation. According to the White House official quoted by Politico, Russia should be motivated to come to the negotiating table given its current military and economic situation. As the president has said, the war has not gone well for Russia, whose economy is in tatters and continues to lose thousands of lives for practically no territorial gain. If they were smart, they would seek more urgently a deal to end the war, stop the deaths, and put their country back on track. President Putin has repeatedly rejected generous peace proposals that would have benefited Russia, he said. Breaking news. Attempted coup in Madagascar. President flees after Generation Z protests. Madagascar's president, Andry Rajoelina, has fled the country for security reasons. The armed forces have taken power after weeks of protests. The head of state described the situation as an attempted coup d'etat. Stay informed and join the conversation. Subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters.